Hey, this is God of Wine 77 here. With all of the people trying to storm Area 51 today, it reminded me of my own interaction with the UFO. Um, this was August 12th, 1986. It was about 9:30, and no, I'm 9 years old. We stayed in Cleveland, Ohio, on the street called Robertson, the street right behind Miles. And normally I just look out of, the northern sky from my bedroom window. But that night, I decided to look out my parents' window, which is over the eastern sky. Um, and Normally I would just see, airplanes and helicopters, flying through the sky, see their lights or whatever, and just, wonder where they're going or whatever. But that night, I saw a UFO. And I saw it closer than most people have. Um, like I said, at about 9:30, I'm looking over the school, Miles Elementary School, which is about we're about 5 houses from the corner. So the school was across the street, so I would see, you know. That night I saw flying over the school, I saw like the Roy G. Biv lights, and I'm just like, this is not an airplane or a helicopter because it was flying pretty low. And as it comes closer, the Roy G. Biv lights saying just start to be more clear. And I'm just wondering, what the hell? And as it flies over my neighbor's house, my neighbor Ty, Taekwondo Mikkel, uh, I'm like, whoa, this is a real UFO. And it's flying, oh my God, maybe about 30 feet over his house. So as it flies over my house, I see the Roy G. Biv lights um, from the front window because I could no longer see it from the side window. And it was shaped, like if you remember the movie Flight of the Navigator, kind of like an inverted teardrop sideways. Um, like I said, from that point, I couldn't see it from the side window, and I could just see the lights from the front window. So I ran downstairs, and my mother was in the dining room. And I'm like, Mom, I saw a UFO. Mom, I saw a UFO. Mom. And she's just ignoring me because, of course, I'm a kid. I'm talking about UFO. I'm talking about nonsense. And um, I drag her by the arm to the window, and she could see the Roy G. Biv lights, the red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet, the Roy G. Biv lights, And we could see it from that point, saying, but we could just see the lights. We couldn't see the actual UFO. So I had the idea to go upstairs to the back porch. Now, we ran upstairs to the back porch. Now, what I didn't realize or didn't even think of at the time is the back porch only extended from, basically from the side of my house, from my parents' side window to about 60% of the house. So we wouldn't be able to see it, because it didn't extend all the way to the other side of the house. But the UFO flew over my neighbor's driveway, over my neighbor's backyard, and it came to hover over my mother and I, in front of in my mother and I, and it lowered. So now it's about 15, 20 feet away. And it's about two-thirds the size of a city bus, like spun on its axis. So you can figure out saying the size and the dimensions of it. But it was quiet. It was as quiet as a microwave turned on, if you can imagine that. So saying back in 1986, I don't know if they had the technology to make something that big, flying, that was that quiet. It's quiet, like I said, as a microwave turned on. And my mother and I were holding each other's hands, and we're staring at it. And when it lowered, to be at eye level for us, we're staring at it and it's staring at us. And it is the most phenomenal thing I'd ever seen so far in my life. You could still see the Roy G. Biv lights going around it. you know, and it had like it was a darker gray with a dark, an even darker kind of like a windshield kind of thing, to whereas we couldn't see through it, you know. They could see us. All we could see was the ship. So my mother and I, after standing there for I guess 5 or 10 minutes or so, I had the idea. I said, let's wake up my brother and sister to see if, you know, to so they could share this experience with us. So my mother was like, okay, and she went, you know, and she actually left me. It's funny to think about that, but she went to try to wake up my sister. Now my sister sleeps like a rock even today, you know. So my mother goes to try to wake up my sister. My sister would not wake up. So she comes back out, and you know, I leave her out there. I try to wake up my brother, and my brother, he wouldn't wake up either. So I go back out there with my mother, and we go back. We're holding hands, and we watch it for another 5 or 10 minutes or so. And I guess it got bored with us. So it turned, you know, like literally turned to face west, and it lifted up, you know, I guess maybe 15, 20 feet, because my neighbors, not my next door neighbor, but the neighbor after that, Mr. Spain, he had a garage. So to clear that, I'm guessing, and it took off down the street warp speed. Like, if you ever seen the movies Warp Speed or Light Speed, it was just like that, like Star Wars or something like that, but it took off that fast. Just, I'm saying, it took off down the street faster than anything I'd ever seen move. But I just found it amazing that, you know, that it cleared, you know, it knew to clear my neighbor's garage, you know, and it was just, it was fantastic, you know, and I'm watching it, you know, take off, and I'm just like, oh my God. And my mother starts to clench my hand, and we're just watching it and saying, just in awe. And we go downstairs, and we talk about it. You know, my father was working second shift, so he didn't get home until I guess 11:30 midnight. So from that point on, from about 9:30 to the time when my father got home, my mother and I are just watching it. We're just, oh my God, that was so amazing. We talked everything about it in detail that we can remember. The silver color, you know, the dark gray color, whatever, the shape. Like I said, I guess like an egg. I guess that's more appropriate or accurate. And when my father came home, we told him, and he was just like, yeah, whatever, and saying, y'all are lying. Kevin, go to bed, you know. So it was just like, wow. But funny thing is, I was telling a coworker, I guess a few months ago, this story, and he said, when did you see it? And I said, I guess August 1989, and he did a Google search, and he saw that on August 12th, 1989, there was a mass sighting of UFOs on the East Coast from Buffalo, New York, to Georgia. If you Google August 12th, 1986, did I say 89 earlier? I'm sorry, but it's August 12th, 1986. If you Google that, you'll see, you know, that there were mass sightings of this. I think the Oberg report, if I'm not mistaken, but it was totally one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen in my life, and the most amazing thing that I'd seen since. But to see or to hear that it's confirmed by other people, by multiple people on the East Coast, is just fantastic. So people storming Area 51 today, they've got no idea. I mean, I was 15, 20 feet at most from this UFO. I mean, it hovered over my backyard in front of my mother and I. And the crazy thing is, if I had just seen it by myself, I would have doubted it. Even today, I was 9 years old, but still I was a kid, but seeing something like that with someone else, you both can't be crazy at the same time. Two people can't see the same, can't hallucinate at the same time.